Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to another one of our reviews. So, last time we reviewed Deltarune Chapter 2, and now we're going to review Security Breach. So, Security Breach is going to be a very interesting one because obviously when it first came out, there's a lot of critiques, a lot of bugs and stuff. We'll go over that later. But there's just generally a lot of people that were not impressed with the game. So, the first thing we're going to go over is obviously the the game creators slash the company. So, Scott Cawthon himself. We'll start with you, buddy. So, as you know, Scott Cawthon was obviously the originator of the resounding first game, the Five Nights at Freddy's, all the way back in 2014, which is pretty crazy. So, I mean, you already know about him at this point. But the newcomers, Steelwool, is the company that's kind of taking the lead on FNAF now, after Scott Cawthon has stepped down from the role of being the ambassador. So now it's Steelwool that's kind of the leaders in the FNAF space. So, Steelwool, I believe they also worked on FNAF VR, which FNAF VR was a really good game. It was super fun to play through, and it was a lot of elements that were in it that were really good. So, like the whole you got to play the original game in VR. You got to play the first 3 games in VR, FNAF 1, 2, and 3. And then you got to play these FNAF 4 segments that were kind of reminiscent of FNAF 4, but it wasn't exactly FNAF 4. There was one section that was. It was I think it was where it was Freddy. Nope. Nightmare Fredbear. That's what it is. Nightmare Fredbear.
Oh yeah, the Nightmares.
Yeah. Those that was actually FNAF 4, but the other ones kind of weren't. Like the Night Marionette or whatever his face was. Those were kind of different. But anyway, the point is that those were pretty. I can't speak. Those were pretty fun to go through. So Steelwool had already acclaimed their reputation through that game, and so there was high expectations with this one, right? And because it kept getting delayed and it kept getting different installations and stuff, the expectations were extremely high with this game. And so yeah, we're gonna go. So now we're gonna go over what is done well. There's a lot of things that are done well. I think the look and feel of the animatronics are very well. Because people always complain oh, FNAF's not scary anymore. And sure, I don't find it that scary. There were a couple of things I think that actually did give us. But they're not, the actual look of the animatronics aren't scary anymore, right? And I would tend to agree with that. I don't think they're meant to look scary. If they were meant to look like horrifying, destructive creatures, they would look like horrifying, destructive creatures. But what the game is going for is they're trying to make the game look, they're trying to make the animatronics seem like they're friendly when they're really not, right? And so that's why they're trying to look cute, they're trying to look kid appealing. No one's going to bring their kids to a place where there's horrific monsters of destruction. They're going to bring their kids to a place like Chuck E. Cheese, where it's oh, here's some cool animatronics, and whatever. So the actual look and feel of the animatronics is really cool. I like the mechanics of the animatronics, that Freddy's a good guy, ? And there's all this other cool stuff about the animatronics. My least favorite animatronic obviously was Monty, just because I didn't like him. I also didn't like him that much because he replaced Bonnie, which is what I think is the leading story, and I like Bonnie. So for Monty to come in and be yeah, I'm the new guy, no, just stop, just stop. Roxy is this game's version of Foxy, which is fine. I guess she's cool and all, but she's not our Foxy, so she's a little different.
Yeah, she's not the same.
But yeah, and then Freddy's obviously Freddy, so he's always standing. And then Chica is obviously still Chica, so that's not going to change. But yeah, I really like, my favorite character is probably Freddy, just because he's the good guy this time. My favorite bad guy animatronic would probably be Chica, just because we dealt with her the most. Plus her entire beak system of that you can, because with Chica you can constantly blast her with the laser or whatever, while as the others you can't, because Monty, at the beginning of the game you can't do anything with him because he has glasses on, and only when you go after his route is when you can actually blind him. And then Roxy, she loses her eyes in the second half of the game. That's forced. You don't actually get a choice over that. But yeah, so I mean, Chica's the only one you can really kind of stick with, and you can like keep blinding her no matter what. Even though in the trash compactor part, it looks like her eyes get popped out of her head. But I guess they don't, so whatever. But yeah, I think those are the things that are done well with the animatronics. In terms of layout, this place is absolutely massive, right? This place is absolutely massive, and so building a big 5 Nights at Freddy game that is this big was a really ambitious endeavor for Steelwool to try and do. And I definitely commend them. No, not commend. No, yeah, condemn is the bad one, right? I definitely commend them for doing that because that's a very ambitious project, and I think it worked pretty well because they want you to think like this is an actual mall. And there were times where I started getting lost because I'm like I don't know where I'm going, and I think that's what the intended feel was. They wanted you to find out that you were getting lost in certain places and stuff like that, which I think still worked. So that was done pretty well. I think the overall story was pretty well. There are some bits in here that didn't make a whole lot of sense, and that seemed like they were kind of just put into the story just to be in the story. There were times where I felt that a little bit, but there were times where I think like, oh, that makes sense. That's actually that's actually tying up parts of the story. Like the gameplay, we'll get to this later, but the gameplay of Afton's area was weird, but the story was interesting. It did kind of leave on a weird note, but I think the overall story that Afton was actually still down there, and that we were in that the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria from FNAF 6, FNAF Pizzeria Simulator. That was pretty interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of things that were done very well, and I appreciate the game for doing that, for going this massive project. Like you can see on screen now that this place is so massive. It's so big. Like and also they also did a great job in making you feel like you actually want to be here, besides from the animatronics trying to kill you. But like. Yeah. I would want to be here. I would spend money to go here. Like, there's Monty Golf. I love golf. Mini golf. I don't like regular golf. I like bowling. Bowling's. I mean, a lot of my family doesn't like bowling, but I like bowling. Just because I find it fun.
I like bowling.
And yeah, so bowling's fun. What's Chica's is the maze. I'm fine with the mazes. As long as they're not ridiculous and you can actually escape. Freddy has his laser blast, or Phaser blast as they call it here. Phaser blast, I would absolutely love that.
Laser tag is awesome.
Laser tag is so fun, and I call it laser blast instead of laser tag because you're not tagging anyone here. You're actually trying to capture flags, so that's why I call it laser blast. But yeah, that would be so fun. It's an interesting take on laser tag, and it sounds like it would be really really fun. And so I'd be down to play that.
And then there's Roxy Raceway.
Oh, go-karts? I mean, they're dangerous, but I might do it. I mean, they as long as safety precautions are up to standard, then I would do it. But yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Look at all think of all the eating places you could do here. Like there's the kitchen area. There's all that other stuff that's there. There's just a lot of places you can go. And then you have the stage. Obviously, you have the performances. I think I would love to see that. There's arcades everywhere. There's literally arcades everywhere. I wouldn't be probably be allowed in the daycare section, but I think that area is pretty cool too. There's a daycare section as well, and there's just a lot of cool sections in the game, and I think that's what's done really well. There's a lot. There's an area for everybody essentially, right? There's an area for every person. There's that back room where Chica's cupcake area, where there's like a bakery. There's like secret areas. There's so much done well with that. There's El Chip's restaurant. So there's a lot of cool references, and there's a lot of cool other stuff like that too. And so I think the game did that really well. Where there's a lot of locations that are tied to things. There's a lot of cool gimmicks in each of the locations too, like Monty Golf. You can actually play golf technically. There's that golf minigame. You can play Phaser Blast fully. That's not hindered anyway. Chica's maze was annoying, yes, but in terms of like actual real life mazes, they wouldn't be that annoying. And so that's pretty interesting. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot about the maze too is if there's a maze in real life, I'm sure there's something like this that exists. But if there's a maze in real life that can change as you're going through the maze, that would really mess people up. They'd be like, "Where the frick am I going?" Because maybe you start putting them into a loop or something like that. I don't know. It'd be super cool. There's ball pits everywhere. There's balloons. Like, imagine going here on a birthday party. You get such special treatment.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think just in general, I think it's pretty well done in that terms of aspect. So Zach, do you have any comments on what's well done?
Another thing that I really like is the voice acting in this game. Yeah, the voice acting I really like. Freddy's voice is really well done. What name is Kellen Goff, right? Yeah, Kellen is awesome. With his voices.
Kellen voiced Funtime Freddy in Sister Location. He voiced him again in Pizzeria Simulator, and he voiced Freddy and someone else. He voiced Freddy and someone else.
Oh yeah, the Sun and Moon characters.
That's right, and I love Sun's voice. It's a great.
Yeah, Sun is.
So
awesome.
Kellen's great. I've actually seen him in real life. Not in real life, but I've seen him through the video, and he's a pretty cool dude. So, yeah, Kellen. Vanessa was played by Heather, which Heather voiced Baby in FNAF Security. Nope. Well, technically yes, but she voiced Baby in Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location, and she voiced Baby, like Scrap Baby, I think her name is Scrap Baby.
Yes.
In Pizzeria Simulator. So she's also pretty good, a pretty good voice actress. And yeah, keep going. I didn't want to interrupt, but that's just what I was saying.
Right, I also agree with you, like on the aesthetics. Like it looks, and like everything looks really well done. And I think that the coolest character in terms of looks is Monty. His design is probably the best thing about him. But he's still not my favorite because he replaced Bonnie. Dang it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Freddy like had like that sort of like mystery for yourself. Like you were thinking, is he really a good guy? And then like some people thought like he was gonna be like a final boss, but no, he was just like that awesome guy that would just be there for you the whole game. So,
well,
that was really cool.
and unless you're Markiplier, in which case Freddy will run away from you in any chance he can get.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, unless your name is Mark, with an plier.
Very specific.
Then unless you're him, Freddy will be there for you, all the time. But yeah. So yeah, the characters are really good.
All right, sorry guys about that weird cut. My computer ran out of space, so cool.
Yeah,
so that keep saying what you're trying to say.
So yeah, everything in here looks really cool. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I forgot about what the other stuff you said, but yeah, I agree with that as well.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah, pretty much. That's all I have to add.
All right, on to the next section. We're going to be talking about what could be improved. Well, there's a bunch of things that I think could be improved. The first thing that could have been improved is the obvious bugs and glitches, right? There was so many bugs and glitches that there was a 50-minute compilation of glitches that someone posted on YouTube. 50 minutes of straight glitches. That's crazy to me. But it's not surprising, right? Because we ran across some ourselves. Like, for example, if you're on PS4 and you tried to do Princess Quest the first couple days that it was out, and you couldn't play it because it required you to press Enter, which not a button on the controller. But if you were playing on PC, you were able to do it. But like for us people on PS4, we couldn't play Princess Quest. That was an ending, right? And I'm thinking, well, that's a problem because we need to play it, right? And so I don't know. That was a bug that was kind of frustrating. That entire arcade section with Music Man, there's a bunch of bugs and glitches there where Chica would be spawning, or like where Chica and Monty would be like chasing us, even though clearly they weren't supposed to. But whatever. There's some obviously wall hacks you could do. There was if Freddy would go to a door that was locked, he could see through it because all doors open for Freddy, obviously. So if he was near a door that was closed, he would open it and you would get to see inside. So that's how some people saw inside certain doors. I don't think there's anything wrong with the daytime or the daycare section. Besides the fact that we were idiots and couldn't find the last thing for it.
Yeah.
But there was there was a lot of bugs and glitches, like the lag too. The lag is ridiculous. It's still kind of here. It's still kind of in the game. The lag is still here, but I mean, it's not as worse. It's not as worse as it was the first day it came out. There was so much lag the first day it came out. I mean,
Holy crap.
it was really bad. Yeah, it was really bad in terms of that. But I mean, if you think, we'll go over this later, but there's a reason that there's so many bugs and glitches that they couldn't fix. So yeah, we'll go over that later. But yeah, so the overall bugs and glitches could have been fixed, and we'll talk about those later because there's a bugs and glitches section. But yeah, I think that those could have been improved. The actual story, I think there could have been improvements on, like, like what it all, like, not like a whole what it all means kind of situation, but kind of like why is this being tied together? Why is this even here? That kind of stuff. I will say the AI of the animatronics could also be done better. Their AI seemed really finicky. Like all of them, even Freddy's sometimes. Like even Freddy's, as we just mentioned with Markiplier. If you watch Markiplier's playthrough, there's several times where where Mark would call Freddy, and Freddy was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go the complete opposite way you told me to go." And so all their AIs were really strange. They didn't seem to function as properly as they could have. So I think that could have been improved. But overall, I think it's fine. As long as you can get through it. Also, another thing that could have been improved for me is the explanations of things. There were so many times where I'm like, what are we supposed to do here? What are we supposed to do? There were times where I had to look it up. I'm like, because it wasn't explained properly. For example, the Afton section, right? We had to look up what we did with Roxy because Roxy made no sense. She would come in the thing, I would hide behind stuff, and she'd be like, "Oh, you're there," even though I have no eyes. I can tell you're there, and she would kill us, right? And so I had to look up what you do, and I looked up what to do, right? They said to go in Freddy, like right before she gets to the door, and I did that, and she didn't listen, and Freddy would like eject me, and I would die, right? So I had to resort to breaking her ankles, which worked. I'm just that good, I guess. But I had to resort to breaking her ankles because that's all I could do, right? That's all I could manage. I come to find out after playing the game ourselves, I found out that actually doing that technique actually skips a really hard part of the game. Because because what you're supposed to do, Zach, and I don't know why we forgot about this. This is also another thing because they don't remind you about this. But you know how we had Chica's voice box, right? We went after Chica.
Yeah.
That's how you scare away Roxy. You go in Freddy and use her voice box, and it scares away Roxy.
Oh.
Yeah, and we never did that, right? But if you got rid of everyone, like if you got rid of Monty through the vent, if you got rid of Roxy through the voice box, and you got rid of who am I missing? Chica. Oh yeah, if you just close the door on Chica's face, then she leaves. There's the tentacle monster, the Funtime Freddy tentacle guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he starts attacking you too.
Wait, what?
Except he's harder because he brings out these tentacles that come out in the beginnings. There's like sewer grates in the room, and he basically towards the end of the game, there's like 17 tentacles you have to maneuver around, and the hitbox for them is huge. And like I watched MatPat play through it, and he like kept dying because he kept walking near him. And sometimes you could walk under a sewer grate and he'd attack you randomly.
Wow.
Yeah. So we actually skipped that part, which I'm actually kind of happy we had no clue what we were doing because that means we got to skip that part. So cool. But yeah, I broke Roxy's ankles, so you guys can go watch that again and for yourself just to show you how good I am at the game. I broke her ankles every time we went down the corridor. But obviously that wasn't what was meant to happen, and that's because they didn't tell us what was meant to happen. They didn't tell me to use Chica's voice box. All Freddy said was, "Hey, the doors won't hold her. Hide." And here's the thing though, hiding doesn't work. If you hide in Freddy, he ejects you when she gets into the room. And so hiding doesn't work anyway. So I don't know. It just didn't make much sense to me because it's like that's what it's like. I don't think anyone understood what was happening. As far as I'm aware, I don't think anyone understood what was actually happening there. People just assumed. I think MatPat during his gameplay, he has his co-host that helps him like look up stuff like beforehand, so he kind of knew what to do. But like I think Markiplier also was confused when he got to that section. It's just that section was very not well explained, and it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. What was another section that didn't make a lot of sense? I know there were more.
Yeah, there was the mazer size thing when we had to figure out the right combination.
That was garbage.
That was so bad.
Yeah, okay.
All they said was, I wonder what the right combination is.
No. They said move blue to the corner, you'll figure it out from there. What does that mean? We moved blue to the corner. We still had no clue what we were doing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they said move blue to the corner and you'll figure it out from there. That didn't make any sort of sense because I moved blue to the corner and I still had no clue what I was doing because it's just like we didn't know what the buttons did. There's two sets of buttons. There was buttons 1 to 5 on the top and there's buttons 1 to 5 on the bottom. And then there was a vertical lever and a horizontal lever, right? We had no clue what they meant. We had absolutely no clue what that meant. And so we were just left. We had to look it up. We had to look it up and see what we were doing, because we had no clue what we were supposed to do. Because they didn't tell us. They just said move blue to the corner, you'll be fine.
And because we already worked on it, we had to like do like a solution though, and that was online, and we had to restart.
Restart, yeah.
And then because of like the button pressing a different button, even though we were on the right button. Like, I think it was something having to do with, like, the number 3. It would press, like, 4 or
yeah, it would press 3, or it would press the 3 below it, which didn't make any sense. You had to be, like, pixel perfect to get to like, activate it.
Yeah, that section was bad.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I completely forgot about that part. And that part was optional. That part was, oh, yeah. Let me remind you of what happens after the mazer size. Monty's boss fight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. That one was, that was an interesting one. That was explained all right. Like, I got the gist after the fact. But it still was like, they didn't tell you to do it. They didn't tell you to shoot it into the thing. The way you do it is you had to find, like, those duffel bags with the lore in it or whatever. You find all those duffel bags, and you learn that Monty often finds himself on the catwalk, and he often, like, falls down or whatever. And they say the maintenance costs are costly, right? Uh-huh. And so that's your only hint. That's your only hint. They don't tell you to shoot the things down. They just tell you to, like, assume you know what you're doing. That's it. That's all they tell you. And so we got to just obviously not too long after that, but it was still kind of frustrating. So yeah, I mean that was pretty frustrating too. Is there anything else, Zach, that you can remember that was frustrating in terms of gameplay? You talking would be fantastic.
Actually, I'm not too sure.
Great, thank you. You're very useful.
You're welcome.
All right, so on to the next section. We're gonna be talking about bugs and glitches. So we kind of already went over this a little bit, but there's some glitches that I missed, and that's of course the glitch that lets you go back to 5 a.m. Which obviously was very useful to us, but it wasn't obviously meant to be in the game. But yes, you could pick up if you go to Roxy Raceway, and it's past 6 o'clock. If you go to Roxy Raceway and you go to where you get that head for the story mission to go up to repair it in the disco area, if you grab that head, and it resets you back to 5:15, I think is what the exact time was.
Yeah.
Which made no sense. I don't know how that works. I think the game assumes that you wouldn't do that again, but I don't know why the head respawns in the first place. And so that part didn't make any sense to me. So I don't know what's up with that part. But I mean, it was pretty hilarious because it was pretty useful to us, right? Like
Yeah.
we were able to use that pretty well.
And we didn't have to restart hours of progress.
Yeah, and that's how we were able to beat Monty's, because we cheated. That's why the video's called "We Cheated," because we did.
Yeah.
But Steel, when they found out about it, they're like,
It's just
because people were like, I think they knew people would be frustrated if they got rid of that because there was no other way to save it. And I think they agreed with us that, well, not us in general, but they agreed with the community that, like, you're giving us this massive map to explore. There's collectibles absolutely everywhere. You give us Roxy's eyes that show us where the new collectibles are, and you don't let us save our progress. Like, that's pretty brutal, right? And so I'm glad they stopped. I'm glad they didn't do anything about that, because that would have been really, really kind of frustrating.
It really would have.
And so I'm glad they were kind of just like, Other bugs and glitches, like I said, the AI was seemed glitched. Mazer size was glitched with the buttons. I don't think the hitboxes were correct.
Yeah.
And it'd be pretty hard to go over every glitch that I can remember. It'd be pretty hard to do that, so I'm not gonna assume that I know every glitch because I don't really. What?
I saw this like.
Saw what?
Anyway, sorry. So yeah, I saw this video of this guy who basically tried to do like something in this game. It was like either not jumping in the game or not running in the game. I think it was running. But yeah, anyway, he mentioned that there was a glitch where like you could just were in like that section where like you had to like fend off against the others except for Freddy while using like the cameras and like zapping them through like the doors.
I don't know what section you're talking about.
It's the one.
You don't need to explain it.
Well, either way, in that section, I don't know how, but like. I think it was something about, like, you could get, like, infinite, like, security badges so that you could go anywhere, but still we'll patch that.
Obviously. Yeah, so another glitch I thought of, too, is that, in the section where, Chica was in the, freezer area, she was supposed to be standing there and waiting for you to activate the thing. She didn't chase. There's many times that I saw in different people's playthroughs where they didn't chase her, or where she didn't chase you, and that's what was supposed to be intended to happen. So I don't know. Oh yeah, another thing that could have been improved too is there is this. If you once you get Roxy's eyes, if you go, if you like use Roxy's eyes and you go into the daycare area. You'll notice that there's a thing in the daycare, like inside the daycare. There's this collectible inside the daycare. But here's the thing: you can't go back into the daycare after 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So what's the point of showing us that? They're like, "Hey, you missed this. Good job," which is not cool because it's like, "Hey, I think it's a flashlight upgrade too. It's a flashlight upgrade, which would have been nice, especially for us. But I guess whatever." But yeah, so it's just, I mean, there's a lot of things that could have been done well, and I don't know, it's just like they could have done well, and we'll go over why they couldn't have done better than they did, but we'll go over that later. All right, so the next section is controls. So controls are they're pretty well done. Running is just holding down the stick. Crouching is pressing the other stick. Shooting is the right trigger. Jumping is X if you're playing on PS4. And I'm sure this is the controls for the PS4, by the way. I can't say the controls for the computer. But I assume W, S, and D is moving. Spacebar is probably jump. I'd assume Control or C is crouch. I don't know. I'm just guessing on that one. But yeah, there's a lot of controls that are simple. Their controls are very well done. I think that's fine. I'm pretty sure they mastered those. The only controls I can think of that were bad were just the major size controls, which were, interact is square, I think. And then you can check your camera with Y. You can flip through the things with R1. Pretty simple as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just all of it's pretty simple. They tell you throughout the game. Even the section where you have to memorize the codes for repairing Freddy, technically repairing, yes, but also like giving him new stuff. Those are pretty simple. It's basically Simon Says. As long as you do it right, you'll be pretty good. So yeah, I think controls. There's not much to go with the controls. They're pretty well done. I think unless Zach has anything to say.
I'm not too sure if I can say anything because I didn't play the game.
Wow, you're stupid. All right, on to the next section, which is graphics. So, graphics. I think graphics is what made this game so glitchy, not glitchy, so laggy, I should say. Because the high amount of graphics, like just in like the regular areas, like super small areas that like shouldn't have a lot of detail, they do. And so, I mean, like if you look at the phaser camera or whatever, there's like intricate little details on it. The gold blaster, their phaser blaster also has pretty intricate details on it. So the graphics are really well done, I think. And I'm sure on computer, like with ray tracing and whatever, if your computer can handle that kind of thing, it probably can't. But if it can, then I'm sure they look really cool. I'm sure there's like cool shadows and stuff everywhere. So I'm sure that the graphics would look better on like a computer, or maybe even probably the PS5 as well. So as a PS4 player, I can say that the graphics look pretty well done for a PS4. I think that's pretty good. So unless Zach has anything to add, I think we can move on.
Yeah, the graphics do look really good. So that's about it, really.
You're useless. All right, sound. So the music, there wasn't a whole lot of music. There were times where there was music. The end credit songs were pretty nice. I liked them. Even though we didn't get to see the full credits scene. I don't know if I told this to Zach yet. I might have, but when we got to that, I forgot what ending it was. But there's an ending where Monty becomes the new host of Freddy Fazbear's.
Oh yeah, it was one of those like, it was one of those other ones where it was basically just the leave ending, but like.
It was one of the leave endings,
area.
Yeah. Oh, it was the one where we like crashed the sign through the car.
Oh yeah,
I think it was that one.
I think it was like the rooftop one or whatever. It was the one with the elevator.
Whatever, just shut up. Whatever it was, Monty becomes the new host. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's besides the point. The music in the game is pretty well done. It's pretty nice. I do remember that they're very catchy. For example, I was probably humming the song from the daycare section because it's just very catchy, which makes sense because catchy songs appeal to children. So it does make a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean the sound is very good. The actual sound of like sound effects, like SFX, sound pretty well. Like the photo camera and the Phaser Blast have pretty cool sound effects. All the doors and stuff have a lot of good sound effects too. And the animatronics, like Zach said before, the voice acting is pretty well done as well. I think that's one of the most stellar parts of the game. And then, the elevator music for every elevator in the game ever has pretty good music. And don't even get me started on the theme song at the beginning of the game. That was legendary. That was pretty good. Like that's a really good opening to a game. I gotta say that. So, yeah, I think there's not much to go over the sound because I'm not a musical artist or anything, but I really like the sound of the game. So but this isn't a music-based game, right? So if you're buying the game for the music by itself, you probably shouldn't buy it if you're like a music aficionado. So is that anything to add, or are we good?
Not really.
All right, next section. We're going to go over story and characters. So, I'm going to start with Freddy the Fredbear. I like Freddy a lot, actually. So, Freddy was kind of like this, like Zach said before, Zach was kind of like this mystery character that, you weren't quite sure if he was, going to try and kill you or not. But, obviously, in the end, he wasn't trying to, which was super nice of him. Thanks, Fredbear. But yeah, so there's a lot of mystery behind him, which was nice. Obviously, once you got towards the end of the game, you started realizing that he is in fact a good guy, and he's trying to protect you. And that's another crazy thing too, is like for once we have an animatronic on our side, and I think that was pretty interesting lore-wise. So that's pretty cool. Next character, I'm gonna go Monty first to get him out of the way. Monty, in terms of character design, he's very stellar. He looks pretty dapper, I gotta say. In terms of characters, the reason I don't like him is because of purely his boss fight, really. And the fact that he replaces Bonnie. He also seems to be like the main antagonist because he seems the most cynical. Like it sounds like from lore-wise, it sounds like he ripped apart Bonnie and like was like threw him away or whatever. Yeah. If you go into the Monty Golf, not the Monty Golf like area, but the Monty Golf arcade cabinet. If you get to the 10th hole, you'll see that there's a Freddy that's in a trash can, symbolizing that he doesn't like Freddy either. And he wants to be like the showrunner. So, in terms of that, I don't like him. But, I mean, who would like someone like that? But, yeah, in terms of voice acting, whoever voice acted him did a stellar job as well. I don't remember who voice acted that one, but they did a pretty good job. And like I said, character design, he's pretty good. I mean, I just don't like him as an antagonist just because he's annoying. And he was annoying also because in the beginning of the game, he was the only one you couldn't stun. Because Chica you could stun and Roxy you could stun at the very beginning of the game. So back then he was the only one you couldn't stun, and that was pretty annoying to me.
Very true, yeah.
But yeah, so next we'll go over Roxy. So Roxy is the stand-in for Foxy of this game, obviously. And she's pretty interesting. She actually is the only one to see that seems to have like actual emotions. which is pretty strange. Like she has you can find her crying in certain times. Like when you tear out her eyes, she's like that entire section she's crying. So she's a very interesting character in that way. Character design, she looks. I think she's the most graphically high character because of all those little individual hairs she has, and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty noteworthy. Is there anything else to really go over there? I mean, her area is the biggest. I think Roxy Raceway, I'm pretty sure, is the biggest area that's in the main area. So I think it's bigger than Monty Golf, and I'm definitely sure it's bigger than Major Size. So I think it's one of the bigger areas.
What Pizzaplex?
It's definitely bigger than Pizzaplex. You see how big Roxy Raceway is?
Wait.
Pizzaplex is not that big. Anyway, so yeah, I think Roxy's pretty cool. And then I'll probably go to my second favorite character besides Freddy is Chica, because Chica's been here since the beginning. She also seems to be like the fun time Chica that should have been in Sis Location but isn't. I wonder if there wasn't a fun time Chica story-wise, because she was in this game, or she was in this location, so they didn't need to make another one for Sis Location. I don't know. So let's talk about story, shall we? Because like Chica, there's not much to go over with her. She's been here since the beginning. But let's go over story. Now, I am not MatPat by any means. So I do not know all the lore stand-ins. I don't know all the references. I don't know everything that's in the game. But I know a good chunk of stuff. I know a good lore-wise. So I know that this place at the bottom of this area is Five Nights at Freddy's 6 from the Pizzeria Simulator, which I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that that's a thing, right? Like no one expected that, really, right? Not that I'm aware of. I think MatPat had when I watched his playthrough, he seemed to have some idea that there was a place under there. I don't know how he knew that because I don't watch his theories all the time, but I just know that in general that he knows a good amount of stuff that he needed in the game. So story-wise, I think this takes place. You'll notice we never got this because me and Zach never did this, but in FNAF VR, they did a Christmas update. For once, there was a Christmas update. There's always a Halloween update or whatever, but for once there was a Christmas update, and for FNAF VR. And if you played through the game, I think there was one extra thing. If you played through that completely and got to the end of it, you could go outside. You could go to outside of the facility that you were in, outside the playing area, and you would see this big structure being built, and it said "Coming soon, Freddy Fazbear's." Phasmal, I think it said. Phasmal, I think, was what it was teased. And so, yeah, so that was kind of the indication that there was going to be more happening. And so that was, obviously, now we know that that was teasing this game. It was teasing Security Breach, which I think that's pretty cool. And in terms of story, the entire name of the game is called Security Breach, right? And so, obviously, I think what the running theory here is that Gregory is actually the bad guy, and he is... he's not what he seems, essentially. We didn't really go over Gregory as a character because there's not much we know about him yet. But what MatPat thinks is that this is the stand-in for the crying child, and that we're a robot. The theory is that we're a robot, and because the MatPat's theory is that why would there be static once they catch us? Why would there be static? That doesn't make sense. And then why when Vanny gets close, why would our vision be turning blurry? That doesn't make sense either. And so that I really like that theory. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys could probably go watch it. But yeah, I really like that theory. I like this story as a thing. I think that, again, there were parts that could be improved, but I mean, whatever, really. The characters, I should say character because they seem to be the same person. The other character I forgot was Vanessa/Vanny. Vanny was really cool, but the problem with Vanny is they didn't really do much with her. And I thought she was going to be this main... I mean, you see her sometimes, but there's I just wish she was I wish she had a boss fight. That'd be cool. But she never did, and I don't know. It's I wish they'd done more with her. I hope in the next game that they do, or for the DLC, because there is DLC coming out for this, and I can't wait for it. I hope in the DLC they explain stuff about Bonnie, and I hope they kind of flush out Vanessa's story, because there's not a whole lot there. In terms of story, the lore, and we got the tapes too, the 16 CDs or whatever. Ooh, yeah. that we found. Those are pretty sick. We got a lot of story wise from that. So yeah, in terms of story, that was pretty well done. I think they should focus more, and when it comes to the DLC, I think they should focus more on the story this time around, though. I think that's what it should be. All right, I think we're good. Unless Zach wants to add on to anything.
I think you forgot a couple. I don't know if it was because we didn't go over them a lot because they were barely in this game. Sundrop and Moondrop, what they're technically called.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I mean, Sundrop was barely in it. Moondrop, he was at the end of every hour, but I mean, we really didn't pay much attention to him. But you can go over them if you want.
I'm gonna just go over them with the bare minimum of what we have. The Sundrop was really cool. I really liked his energy.
You like glitter glue?
you like glitter glue?
I love that. I love that part. I have glitter glue. You like glitter glue?
Yeah, I like glitter glue.
You can keep going.
Yeah, that was great. So yeah, Sundrop was really awesome. Moondrop was not. I didn't really like him as much as Sundrop, but like.
I gotta say though, the creepiness aspect of Moondrop at the beginning when he's like crawling up out of the like behind the desk that he was on, like in the original game, what am I talking about? In the and I think it was hour 130, I think, is when he first appeared. But yeah, it's like he's like naughty boy, like he's like crawling out of his thing or whatever, and that was pretty creepy. I gotta say that was pretty creepy.
Yeah, he is.
Everyone had the same reaction to that. Like that's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, that was pretty creepy. So yeah, points stand for that. So yeah, they were really cool. Did not appreciate Moondrop killing us right at the end when we were about to make it. When we first got to the very end.
Yeah, that's pretty rude.
Yeah.
Also, I watched other people's playthroughs, and he didn't do that to them.
Wow.
It was only just us.
Imagine we didn't figure out the save thing, and he just killed us right there, and we had to restart everything.
No, that wasn't when we had the save thing. That was they auto saved at 6 a.m. or not 6 a.m. 5:50. Remember, we didn't have the save state back then.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was when we were playing the game by itself. We didn't have any special things with it.
Right, that was before that whole thing even happened. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. But yeah, that's pretty much it with them.
Okay, is that the only two characters you thought of? That I forgot. I mean, there's Bonnie technically, but there's no story with him.
Plus, we don't even see him.
Besides the fact that he's missing or dead, or not dead, but dismantled, I should say. I hope they flesh that out in the DLC or whatever. But
I guess that's another thing with the characters. They make robots have like emotions, like with Roxy crying. And with Freddy, like when we're like up in Bonnie Bowl, yeah. So yeah, and when we go up to like his stage, curtain thing, and he goes like, "I don't come up here anymore." Like and then he says like, "I miss him." Like that's emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really cool to me. That they like incorporated like emotion into, robots.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really
I think Chica's really the only one that doesn't seem to have straight emotions, but I mean, there are times where she's like, I'm just trying to help you or whatever, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think they all have emotions. Actually, no, I take that back. Monty seems to be the one without emotions. He seems to be just wanting to murder everyone that's above him in the hierarchy, I guess. So yeah, I think when the DLC comes around, I can't wait to explore more about the story, because I think that's what truly matters. Like, I care less about the playing Phasma Blast, right? I care more about like the story and why. Like, that's why I keep playing these games over and over again. Is because I like the story about the games and stuff. So, is that all for story and characters? Can we move on?
One final thing I want to mention is technically talk about an achievement having to do with Monty. It's when you beat him, like in his battle, his freaking terrible battle.
Mm-hmm.
There's the achievement you get is called Shattered Dreams, which I thought was kind of cool.
No, it's called Claw No Evil. I don't know what you're talking about. There's See No Evil, which is killing Chica, or quote unquote killing Chica. See No Evil is Roxy. Speak No Evil is Chica, and Claw No Evil is Monty. There's no Shatter. You're thinking of something else.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Shattered Dreams, I think that is an achievement, but I don't remember where that is. Oh, you're thinking of... No, that's the one for Afton, isn't it? Is that the one for getting rid of Afton? Like killing him? It's something, isn't it? But it's not for Monty. Not that I'm aware of. I know Claw No Evil because it's Speak No Evil, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, but that's replaced by Claw No Evil, which is the pun.
Yeah, because we're not getting rid of his ears.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so I mean, oh yeah, these guys aren't technically characters, but I want to go with them anyway. Is those all these freaking drone bots, staff bots or whatever? Which staff is an acronym I don't think anyone has come up with yet. I don't think MetPad even talked about that. But at the very beginning of the game, they're called staff bots, which is staff is in like it has dots in between each letter, which makes it an acronym. So I want to know what that means. I'm sure it means security, technician. And I have no clue what other. Security must be the first letter though. Like that must be us. Technician or technical something like that. It must be T. I can't figure out the rest. But yeah, those guys were annoying as frick. I understand why they're annoying. They have every right to be because they're everywhere. But it seemed like there were times where I'd run right through their little visibility thing and they wouldn't do anything. And then there's times where I wouldn't be near them and they'd be like, wee woo, wee woo.
Just freaking pat you. Wee woo, wee woo.
Yeah, it's I don't know. They're very weird, but I mean that they're fine because sometimes they didn't even alert anyone, so it's not like I lost anything of doing it anyway. But yeah, it's very strange. So I don't know. And then the jump scares, that map bot, whoo, that was one of the things that got us was map bot. When we came out of the thing, that got me. I gotta say. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just I don't know. I think those guys were pretty weird. So, all right, moving on to replayability. There's technically replayability here. If you play the game and get an ending, of course you're going to want to go get more endings, so there's replayability there. There's also the completionist replayability, where you want to go around and collect every collectible you missed. I don't even think we did that.
I don't think so.
And so, yeah, I mean, there's technical replayability, but once you get everything, until the DLC comes out, there's really not a lot. I mean...
Yeah, not really.
Not really, so... Okay, moving on from that, we have our personal takes on the game. So I'll start. I think this game's great. What I was going to talk about before is the reason this game is so buggy and so glitchy is because the community forced Steelwool to push it out basically, because everyone was getting so mad that it was getting delayed. Everyone was getting so mad that it was kind of just like it was getting pushed back every 10 minutes, and so the community was so frustrated. They were like, "Oh, come on, can you just give us the game? We don't care if it's not ready yet or whatever." And Steel was like, "Okay, here you go." And then of course everyone complained, "Hey, this isn't ready yet. Why'd you send this out?" It's like, you asked for it. So I think hopefully I'm being hopeful here. I hope with whatever future project Steelwool works on and the DLC that's coming out at some point, I really hope the community is just like, okay, let them do their thing this time. Let them fix any bugs and glitches they come across and that kind of stuff. Because this is a massive game, and now that because this is a AAA game, because FNAF is now a AAA because they appeared in the I think it was the PSN. I think it wasn't E3, I don't think, but it was something along the lines of that. Where it was like alongside like the Call of Duties, it was alongside like other AAA titles. So this FNAF is now a AAA game technically. So you kind of have to expect all the different glitches and stuff that are going to be coming with the game. And so I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me on why like people are so mad about it. It's like, you asked for this. You asked for it to be bad. All right?
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming Steelwool for much on this one because technically it's the community's fault that made it this way. So yeah, but putting the glitches and bugs aside, I really enjoyed playing this game. You'll notice that we did too, because we had 21 episodes of it, which overtook DDLC. I think that was the first series to overtake DDLC, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And so it was a pretty good. I mean, I say it took over DDLC because it hasn't been added to the playlist yet, because we had to finish FNAF World, and then we had to finish I was about to say Security Breach. What's the other? Pizza Simulator, and then maybe VR if we can get that to work. But yeah, like I really enjoy this game. I love playing FNAF. It's a really fun franchise to play. Obviously, like I said, people are like, "Oh, it's not scary anymore." So why you play the game if it's not scary? I play the game because I want to. People, all right. So yeah, I don't know. It's just for me, it was a really fun game. Obviously, Zach didn't play the game himself technically, but he got to witness it and stuff. Were there frustrating times? Of course, there were. But overall, the experience was pretty well. It was pretty good. So I thought it was pretty good. So Zach, personal takes for you.
First I wanted to mention that like that whole the whole thing about like the game pretty much being pushed out because the people said so. It reminded me of a quote from good old buddy Shigeru Miyamoto. A delayed game is eventually good, but a rush game is forever bad. And that whole thing kind of made me think about that because they were pretty much like pushing it out, which instead of like taking their time with it, it kind of felt like a bit like not complete, pretty much, and like maybe if it had like all the time it needed, then like it could have been better. But other than that, like it is really good. Like from what I could see, it was pretty good. I definitely would have a better say on it if I played it, but yeah, like you said, I got to see it, and it looks really cool.
That it?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, on to the last couple sections. Is it worth it? So this game was $40, if I remember correctly. I don't know if it's dropped since then. But when we bought it, it was $40. We bought it the day it came out. I like Deltarune. Actually, we didn't buy Deltarune. But we bought it the day it came out. And I think personally that yes, I think it is, because if you're playing, because remember, you're playing for the franchise. You're not playing, you're not playing because you think it's gonna be. I mean, it's different, yes, but you don't play it because you're like, oh, we were dealing with Candy now. We're dealing with Flumpty. No. So you're playing it because you know the franchise. You're playing it because, again, people think, oh, it's not scary, so why would you play it? To me, Outlast isn't scary. Why do you play Outlast? It's like the game doesn't need to be horrifically scary to play it. For example, DDoC. I think the first time I played DDoC, maybe I got jump scared by Natsuki. But other than that, there's not really jump scares in that game. It's scary from
It's scarier.
Sure, whatever. We're not talking about that though.
Sorry.
But yeah, DDoC wasn't scary in terms of jump scares. It was scary in terms of psychological stuff. And there are some psychological elements in this game too, like the whole idea that the animatronics have emotions. That's pretty scary, because if you think about how that would work in real life, that's pretty scary. And I don't know, the whole idea of getting lost, getting lost in this big mall with animatronics trying to kill you, that's pretty creepy. And so the whole scary aspect to me doesn't make sense. But I would say yes, it is worth it. I think if you can scrap $40 together, which for most of you probably isn't that hard, then I would say it's a pretty fun game, and you get a lot of hours out of it. How long do we spend playing this game? It had to be I'd have to check my PlayStation thing, but it's got to be around 20 hours or something like that. It was pretty long. I would say yes, it is worth it. If you overlook the bugs and glitches and stuff, I would say it's pretty worth it. Zach, what would you say?
I would say it would be worth it. Yeah, like you said, it's really good. But really, what I think it may also come down to preference. Some people may not really like these types of games, so they may.
If they didn't like the types of game, they wouldn't be watching us review that type of game. Oh. Because we're talking to the people that actually care about the franchise that are watching this video currently.
Oh, well. You're right, yeah. But yeah, I think it's worth it. It looks really cool, and I know I definitely would have played it, but I didn't really, it wasn't on the Switch, so I couldn't, really.
Why would it be on the Switch?
You know what, that's a good point.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Besides Zach's super commenter. So I would say yes, it's definitely worth it. So you guys should probably go get it if you haven't already. I mean, if you haven't already, I'd be surprised. But all right, on to the last part, the final rating. I would say giving this game, because again, that's not technically Steelwool's fault. I'm gonna give them a 7 out of 10. I think that's a pretty generous rating for what the game had to offer. And so I don't know. I think it was pretty worth it. And so that's why I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. There are things that could have been done better, and so that's why I'm giving it a 7 instead of an 8 or 9. No game is going to be perfect, so rarely will you see us rate a 10 out of 10 game. Because again, we're trying to be authentic with our reviews here. We're not trying to be like, oh, this game's a 10 out of 10. It's the best game that ever lived, which is obviously not true. So yeah, I don't know. It's just a 7 out of 10 because it could have been done better. Obviously, if I wanted to give a true rating and it was like, oh, this is Steelwoolf's fault, I'd probably give it like a 6 or a 5 even. But because it's not Steelwoolf's fault, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
I was actually thinking in my mind, giving it a 7. So.
That's Zachary's. All right, guys. I think we're done with our review for this game. I think all of it's been said at this point. So thank you guys so much for listening to our review. And like I said, hope you get the game yourself if you haven't already. And we will see you guys in whatever review we do next.